So we went over these 6 assumptions of KTG in the previous class, right? And then I'm just going to continue from that point forward. So again, I mean, stuff like this, stuff you know, so you need not write down right now. Let's not lose time over it. But you can maybe make notes before or after class. But I'm just going to go symbols that we're going to use in this chapter, so that there's no confusion. All right, small n for number of moles, capital N for number of molecules. All right, so whenever you see these symbols in a formula, don't confuse them. Small n, number of moles, capital N, number of molecules. If you have any doubts while I'm teaching anything, you can feel free to ask. All right. Yeah. So small n is number of moles, capital N number of molecules. Small m is molecular mass. I hope you know what that means. Mass of one molecule. Capital M is molar mass, a lot bigger. This is the mass of an entire mole of molecules. All right. So capital M is molar mass. One of you saying capital N denotes normality, but there's going to be no normality over here in physics. So don't confuse normality with capital N over here. Okay. For us over here, capital N is the symbol we're using for number of molecules. Total mass. So in that sense, total mass will either be number of moles into mass of a mole. All right. So total mass is either number of moles into mass of a mole, and total mass can also be number of molecules into mass of a molecule. So number of moles into molar mass, yeah, number of molecules into molecular mass. Okay, quite straightforward. One of you is asking me, should I remember the Boltzmann constant? I'll talk about that. Let's get there. Okay. The next is your Avogadro number, which anyways you have to remember. Okay. Your Avogadro number is total number of molecules upon total number of moles, right? Total number of molecules upon total number of moles. Well, the Avogadro number is number of molecules in one mole, right? So therefore, its value is approximately 6 into 10 to the power 23. That's your Avogadro number. Then you have R, which is your universal gas constant. Okay, you've seen this, used it many times. R is 8.314 joules per mole Kelvin. Okay, and then roughly that divided by 1000 is 0.0821 liter atmosphere per mole Kelvin. All right, so both units, I mean, the two units just differ almost by 1000. Okay, and the main thing is you'll use 8.314 joules if you're working with energy. If you're working in SI units, you'll use 8.314. And if at all you're working in liters in atmosphere, you'll use 0.0821. Okay? But yeah, I'm sure you know those values. Then you have your Boltzmann constant. And your Boltzmann constant is R by Na. So in the SI units is going to be 8.314 divided by 6 into 10 raised to 23. All right. So even if you just know it's R by Na, you can take a pretty good guess as to what the Boltzmann constant is going to be. 8 by 6 के आस मतलब कुछ तो 1.3 के आसपास है ना, and फिर उसके बाद 1 upon 10 raised to 23 is 10 raised to minus 23. So is it really going to be difficult to memorize this value? I don't think so. Yeah? And if not memorize, you can arrive upon this value easily. So you know कि 8 by 6 is going to be, of course, something around 1.3, and then 1 by 10 raised to 23 is 10 power minus 23. Even the digits are 831 in reverse order. So 831 की जगह 138. So 1.38 into 10 to the power minus 23. It'll help if you can memorize that. Okay, that's it. Na, Avogadro number is number of molecules upon number of moles. It's also molar mass upon mass of a molecule, and mass of an entire mole upon mass of one molecule. All right. It is also R by K. It's also R by K. You should be fluent in, I mean, using whichever one of these is required. It's also R by K. K is a very, very small number. Okay, then Baki, I'm going to use V for volume, V for speed. So depending on the context, you'll of course not confuse them. I'll try to use a bigger V for volume and a smaller V for speed. Okay. And rho is for density. Density is naturally total mass by volume. All right. So again, number of moles into molar mass by volume, your number of molecules into molecular mass by volume. All right. So those are the symbols. Any doubt on this page? None. Okay. All right. So that was the context. Now you of course know your ideal gas equation. All right. So you have PV is equal to nRT, small n, number of moles, RT, and you can of course convert this to other forms. So remember, N into R is number of moles into R is number of molecules into Boltzmann constant. Okay. Number of moles into R is number of molecules into Boltzmann constant. All right. So इसको एवोगाड्रो नंबर से मल्टीप्लाई किया, उसको डिवाइड किया, तो इसलिए ये फॉर्म में भी लिख सकते हैं. PV is number of molecules into KT, number of molecules into KT. All right. And then another thing you can do with this is you can I'm sure you know this form as well. Number of moles को जब तुम total mass upon molar mass लिखते हो और फिर V को इधर और molar mass को इधर लेके आते हो, तो you get P into molar mass is density RT. And I'm sure you've seen all of this in chemistry. You've seen all of this in school. So your same ideal gas equation, when NT are constant, P is inversely proportional to V, that's Boyle's law. When NP is constant, V is proportional to T, that's Charles' law. NV is constant, P proportional to T is Gay-Lussac's law. And PT is constant, N proportional to V is Avogadro's law. It's very easy for us to use these equations without knowing the names. I myself don't remember the names, so it's quite, we don't need, in fact, these individual laws. We have the ideal gas equation, which is more than enough, which is why there's a danger of forgetting the names, because you're never going to actively think of the name while solving in a question. There's a danger of you forgetting these names, and God forbid, if a question on these names were to come in the exam, you will lose marks. So just make an effort to somehow remember the names, at least for the next 2 years. Okay. Baki, otherwise you don't need them. They're just, yeah, combining them gives you the ideal gas equation. They are part of the ideal gas equation. Okay. Any doubt on this page? No, right? Cool. Then moving on. Okay, so you have different velocities. So you have VRMS. You should know how these velocities are defined. So what does VRMS mean? It means root of the mean of the square. All right. So the first thing we do with the velocity of VI matlab velocity of an individual molecule, velocity of the ith particle. तो पहले उसका velocity का या उसका speed का square लोगे, ठीक है? फिर speed का square लेने के बाद उसका mean लोगे. Mean मतलब average, तो summation by total, तो mean ले लिया, उसके बाद root ले लिया. So that is what theoretically root mean square speed means. Okay? Sigma vi square by n का root, that is your VRMS. ठीक है? VRMS के काफी formulas हैं. You have seen √3 RT by m. इसी को तुम PM is rho RT. Yes, all of these have been covered in gaseous state, which is why I'm going through them quickly. So √3 RT by m है. फिर you know कि PM is rho RT. वहां से RT by m को P by rho लिख सकते हो, P by density लिख सकते हो. And फिर R by m को है ना K by मोलिकुलर मास भी लिख सकते हो. तो R को Na से डिवाइड करके बोल्ट्जमैन कांस्टेंट लिख लिया, मोलर मास को Na से डिवाइड करके मोलिकुलर मास लिख लिया, तो 3 kT by small m भी लिख सकते हैं. ठीक है? Be familiar with all forms. Same thing when you talk about average speed. Average speed is simply the mean of all the speeds. Okay, this value comes out to be √8 RT by pi m, √8 P by rho, √8 KT by pi m. So the only difference between VRMS and the average is 3 के जगह 8 by pi आ रहा है. And I need not remind you that 8 by pi, 8 by 3 is going to be something lesser than 3. Okay, so 8 by pi is lesser than 3, greater than 2. What is VRMS? Yeah, क्या हुआ है ना, रूट मीन स्क्वायर. So VRMS means the full form of that is root mean square speed. It stands for the root of the mean of, mean matlab average, the square of all particles. तो पार्टिकल का स्पीड का स्क्वायर लोगे, उसके बाद एवरेज लोगे, उसके बाद रूट लोगे. That is what VRMS means. Right, so you need to know what VRMS means. Can I explain this again? Acha. Pi is missing this. Thanks for that observation. Yes. Yes. I'll explain this again. एक मिनट. तो देखो, for instance, just imagine कि यार you have imagine you have speeds as 2, 3, 5 and 6, and then again let's say 2. Okay, so these are different speeds of particles. All right, so if you want to find VRMS, so what we're going to do is we are going to take the square of all the speeds. So that's going to be 4 plus 9 plus 25 plus 36 plus 4 again. होल्ड है ना. तो ये तो पहले हमने क्या किया, पहले सबका स्क्वायर लिया. स्क्वायर लेने के बाद स्क्वायर का एवरेज लिया, मीन मीन्स एवरेज. और है तो ये कितना आ रहा है, 83, सॉरी 79, नहीं 78 है ना, 78. तो ये आ रहा है 78. तो फिर ये क्या हो गया, ये 78 आ गया, ऊपर न्यूमरेटर 78 आ गया, और फिर उसका रूट ले लिया. और तो रूट 78/5, that's what VRMS means. ठीक है. Now what you're going to do is you're going to do this for all the molecules of a gas, and different molecules have different for different velocities. There's a the spread of the velocities are different. Okay? So certain velocities are more common than other velocities, and you get to see that in the Maxwell distribution, velocity distribution graph. Okay? Now you don't need to get into how the VRMS of a particular, how the VRMS formula is derived. You don't need to get into how the VRMS formula is derived, but you just need to know what its value is. All right, and where is this value going? So what is the formula for VRMS? It's this. Finally, root 3 RT by M. And where is this going to be used? वो आगे तुम्हें दिखेगा. We'll show you where it's going to be used. Okay, so this VRMS is actually going to link with the average kinetic energy of the molecules of a gas. It's going to link with the internal energy of a gas. So we'll see where VRMS appears later. But फिलहाल this is the formula. ठीक है. Average के लिए V average again, it's the, अब average में क्या है, average में तुम square नहीं लोगे, root नहीं लोगे, directly average value निकालोगे. Yeah, so average in that case would be just adding all the numbers and dividing by n. You know mathematically what sigma vi by n means. Average में 3 के जगह 8/pi आता है. अब MP stands for most probable. I would assume कि ये हुआ था gaseous state में. MP stands for the most probable speed. So what does most probable speed mean? The speed which is most present. So if you look at the graph, V MPS था, MP MPS एक ही बात है. Most probable speed इधर S डाल सकते हो उसके आगे. What does it mean actually? If you look at the graph, if you look at the probability distribution for different speeds, okay, what we're calling as Maxwell's law of distribution of molecular speeds. This is not in your syllabus, at least in physics. You don't need to know much about this graph, but the graph looks like this. There's a hill-shaped graph, and in that graph, the velocity which is most common, the velocity corresponding to the maxima, that is your most probable velocity. और उसका formula क्या है? Root 2 RT by M. या root 2p by rho या root 2 kt by m. So if you can see the difference, 3 के जगह इधर 2 आ गया. Alright, and you can see कि your most probable speed is going to be lesser than your average speed because 2 is lesser than 8 by pi and 8 by pi is lesser than 3. So average speed is going to be lesser than VRMS speed. So this is how they would look in the graph. Okay, any doubt in this? The y-axis of the graph is actually probability distribution. So in simple words, on the y-axis, on the x-axis you have speed. On the y-axis you have a probability function corresponding to that speed. All right, so just understand that as the probability of a particular velocity or the probability of molecules having this particular velocity. It's a measure of that. It's the measure of the probability of a molecule having that particular velocity. तो जितना ज्यादा probability है, उतना ज्यादा वो speed का होने का chance है. इस ग्राफ का एरिया जब तुम निकालोगे इंटीग्रेट करके, एरिया 1 आएगा. Because the probability of the molecule having some velocity between 0 and infinity should be 1. So that's a function such that integrate करने पे 1 आता है. Okay? Maxwell's law as such is not in your syllabus. I'm just brushing over it. Mainly, you just need to know the formulas for VRMS, V average, and VMP. Okay. VMP is the most probable speed of all the molecules. Yes, it's the speed corresponding to maxima. जिसका सबसे highest probability है, वो speed है. ठीक है? And the next is probability is proportional to 1 by magnitude of the speed. Not really. Probability is not inversely proportional to the magnitude of the speed. Q. There is a phase where probability is increasing as speed is increasing. And then there's a phase where probability is decreasing as speed is decreasing. Okay? So the actual function is a slightly more complex function, but it has one peak. And the velocity corresponding to that peak is your most probable speed. Okay? We're not digging deeper into this because it's not really relevant for us. You'll never get a question on that graph. Velocity is related to, of course, on an average, all the molecules. Okay? So जैसे in simple words, अगर यहाँ पे probability double है इस point के probability के comparison में, ठीक है? The higher yellow bar वाला point पे probability double है, मतलब there will be twice as many molecules having that speed, then there will be molecules having this speed. Out of all the molecules, and if a particular velocity has double probability, वापस हम जाते हैं. ठीक है? मान लो कि ये दो वेलोसिटी है. ठीक है? अब ये वेलोसिटी के ये प्रोबेबिलिटीज आ रहे हैं. ठीक है? मान लो कि इसका y कोऑर्डिनेट इसके y कोऑर्डिनेट का डबल है, मतलब ये वेलोसिटी का प्रेजेंस होने का प्रोबेबिलिटी डबल है. मतलब दिस वेलोसिटी इज ट्वाइस एज कॉमन एज दिस वेलोसिटी. Okay, so out of a million molecules, if 100 molecules have this exact velocity, 200 molecules will have that exact velocity. That's the idea. Good. So that's all the y coordinate represents. Just represents probability. जितना ज़्यादा y coordinate, उतना common वो velocity है. That many, you can say that many molecules have that velocity. A proportionate number of molecules have that velocity. So the most common velocity is the velocity जिसके लिए ये graph maxima attain करता है. Okay? Got it? बाकी I think you've seen in chem, right? 3, 8 by pi and 2. Any doubts in this? Just remember that 3, 8 by pi 2. No doubts. All right. This, I don't think this you have done in chemistry. So maybe let's spend a little time on this. है ना? So, pressure of an ideal gas. We're going to derive an equation, which I think you guys know. But let's see how that equation is derived. So what we're going to do is we're going to assume a cubicle or any cuboidal room. Let's say the length of the room is L. And let's say the area of this wall is A. Okay. अच्छा ये chem में derive हुआ है क्या? तो maybe I can go a little faster then. तो मान लो एक पार्टिकल है जिसका वेलोसिटी VIX है, ठीक है, कोई हाँ बोल रहा है, कोई नहीं बोल रहा है, एनीवेज सुन लो, ठीक है. तो I'll go at a decent speed. Let's say molecule है जिसका mass m है, molecular mass, and let's say उसका velocity VIX है. I for the ith particle. So it's the velocity of the ith particle along the x-axis. Along the x-axis. Okay. Now, what is the impulse provided by one molecule to the wall? है ना, molecule जाके दीवार के साथ टकरा के वापस लौट रहा है. So what is the impulse provided by one such molecule? So you guys have just learned collision. You should know that the impulse provided will be 2 times mass times speed. Right? That should be the impulse provided. क्यों? Because क्योंकि जब molecule जा रहा था तब उसका momentum इतना था, mvix towards the right था, है ना? और फिर दीवार से टकराने के बाद, remember we are assuming elastic collision. So दीवार से टकराने के बाद उसका momentum mvix towards the left हो गया. तो momentum as a vector कितने से change हुआ है? Isn't it 2 mvix towards the left? Can everyone see that? I hope you can see change in momentum is not 0, but it is 2 mvix towards the left. And change in momentum is called as impulse. So the impulse that the molecule receives is 2 mvix towards the left. अब वो 2 mvix towards the left receive कर रहा है, तो दीवार को वो कितना दे रहा है? 2 mvix towards the right. So as it bounces off the wall, it's pushing the wall towards the right. उसको लेफ्ट की तरफ impulse मिल गया और उसने दीवार को राइट की तरफ impulse दे दिया. ठीक है? Cool. They both push each other. So now the impulse provided by one molecule towards the wall, is 2 mvix towards the right. X is the x-axis. X is the x-axis. Okay? We are assuming the molecule is moving along this direction. So X is the x-axis. Cool. X-axis is along this direction. Okay. Now, what is the time between successive collisions with the wall? The molecule has bounced off this wall, जाके वो wall से टकराया, वापस लौट के आया. So what is the time between successive collisions? Isn't the time between successive collisions with the wall going to be the distance the molecule has to cover upon the speed of the molecule along the x-axis? So how much distance does it have to cover? Clearly 2L. By the time it covers 2L, it's going to hit this wall again, right? So for it to again come and hit the wall, it's going to take 2L time, and then 2L divided by speed along the x-axis, 2L by VIX is going to be the time taken for it to again come and hit the wall. So this is the time between successive collisions with this wall. 2L upon speed, distance covered upon time taken. Very nice. 2L upon speed, 2L by VIX. यहाँ से हम average force लिख सकते हैं. Average force applied by one molecule on the wall. So average force for any sort of periodic motion can always be written as impulse provided upon the time period of that motion. है ना? So every 2L upon VIX seconds, the molecule provides this much change in momentum to the wall. It provides this much impulse to the wall. इतने से wall का momentum change करने की कोशिश कर रहा है हर 2L by VIX seconds में. तो यहाँ से average force delta P by delta T से कितना आ गया average force? VIX को ऊपर ले लो, 2 को काट दो, इतना आ गया average force. M VI square X by L. Alright, so this is the scene so far. Any doubts in this? टू एल कैसे आया? 2L आ रहा है because distance is it going to cover to come back to this wall? It's going to hit this wall after covering a distance of 2L. L में तो फिर वो दूसरा वॉल को हिट कर रहा है. 2L डिस्टेंस कवर करने के बाद ये वापस ये वॉल पे लौट रहा है. एंड 2L अपॉन स्पीड टाइम बाद वो वापस वो वॉल के साथ कोलाइड कर रहा है. ओके Alright. Any doubt in this page? Can I go to the next page? So now let's see what to do with Vix. Now Vix was representing the x component of the velocity of the ith particle. Now how do I make more sense of that? X component of the velocity of the ith particle. All right. So before that, let's एक तो force पे आ गए. यहाँ तक force था. All right. So on page 5 ended with average force applied by this particle. But what about the average pressure that this particle is applying on the wall? The pressure is force by area. Pressure applied on the wall will be force applied on the wall divided by area of the wall. तो फिर पार्टिकल इतना प्रेशर अप्लाई कर रहा है. ये क्या है? ये एक ही पार्टिकल, एक ही मॉलिक्यूल के कारण इतना प्रेशर आ रहा है. कितना आ रहा है? mvix square by l. इतना फोर्स था ऑलरेडी डिराइव्ड, डिवाइडेड बाय एरिया, डिवाइडेड बाय द एरिया ऑफ द वॉल. And suddenly you can see कि L and area will combine to give volume. So pressure so far is mvix square by volume. And just in case you get confused between the symbols, I have made it quite clear कि wherever I'm trying to write capital V and I'm referring to all these things as volume. So average force आ गया mvi square by L. Average force, yes, these notes are all already uploaded on the drive. Okay. Yeah, all of this is already shared. एक बार वापस average force समझा देता हूँ. Guys, you have just learned center mass, so this is something you should know, something you should be comfortable with. All right, so this molecule is going and hitting that wall. Let's say, imagine this, somebody is going and imparting an impulse to a wall, an impulse of 3 Newton second. Okay, it's implying an impulse of 3 Newton second every 2 seconds. हर 2 सेकंड जाके वॉल को ठोक रहा है. तो कितना फोर्स लगाता है वो वॉल पे ऑन एन एवरेज? अब ठोकते वक्त इट्स इंप्लाइंग अ वेरी लार्ज फोर्स, एंड फिर द रिमेनिंग टाइम इट्स नॉट इन कांटेक्ट, इट्स इंप्लाइंग जीरो फोर्स. बट ऑन एन एवरेज व्हाट फोर्स इज इट अप्लाइंग? So because this is periodic motion, you'll find the average for every 2 seconds. So every 2 seconds on an average, एक time period में on an average कितना force लगा रहा है? Newton's second law, force applied is going to be the change in momentum you're trying to provide upon time, right? Delta P by delta T is average force. So you're trying to change momentum by 3 Newton second every 2 seconds. So 3 by 2 is average force. So यहाँ पे भी वही scene है. Average force is the momentum change. In other words, the impulse that this molecule is trying to give upon the time taken between successive collisions. तो वहां से mvix square by L आ गया. I represents ith molecule. ठीक है, it's just a way of representing that I'm talking about one specific molecule and not about all the molecules. So I represents the ith molecule. Okay, and यहाँ पे L, जब इसको एरिया से डिवाइड किया हमने प्रेशर निकालने के लिए, LA वॉल्यूम हो गया, पूरा वेसल का वॉल्यूम हो गया. इसके बाद क्या कर सकते हैं? अब नोटिस कि कोई भी एक मॉलिक्यूल का स्पीड इज एक्चुअली गोइंग टू बी दिस, right? Imagine the molecule has an x component, y component, z component. So what does vectors teach us? Molecule ka speed is going to be the root of Pythagoras theorem, root of square of x component, y component and z component, है ना? अब KTG का assumption ये है कि ये तीनों बराबर है. There's no bias. It's not कि x direction में ज्यादा velocity है, y direction में कम है, z direction में ज्यादा है. On an average, all three should be equal. So if on an average all three should be equal, what does this equation become? Do you agree कि this term will become 3Vix square? If all three are equal on an average, that entire term inside the root will become 3vix square. And when I square both sides, I'll get particle ka speed ka square is 3vix square. Particle ka speed ka square is 3vix square. Got it? तो यहाँ पे ये समझ में आया कि vi square is 3vix square. All right, this is what I'm going to now substitute in my equation. One of you is asking ये L कहाँ से आया? L force से आया था. याद करो, force was delta P by delta T. याद है delta T लिखते वक्त हमने L लिखा था 2L by speed. तो वहां से L आया. याद आ गया? Okay. And यहाँ पे I hope everyone followed till this point. Molecule का speed is going to be root vix square plus vy square plus viz square. But by KTG, all three on an average should be the same. So it's going to be root 3vix square. And if you square both sides, you get vi square is 3vix square. So अब last step क्या कर लो? इसको vi square by 3 से replace कर लो. And with this, we are almost getting the equation that we want. vix square को vi square by 3 से replace किया. अच्छा, ये replace करने के बाद क्या मिल गया? Now look at this. The pressure applied by one single molecule, average pressure applied by one single molecule is 1 by 3 m vi square, मतलब वो molecule का speed का square divided by volume. अब last step क्या करना है? ये एक molecule के कारण था. अगर मुझे total pressure by all molecules चाहिए, then I simply need to add up the pressure applied by each single molecule. Now, as I go to add up mass of the molecule, volume of the vessel, they are all fixed. वो addition के बाहर से चला जाएगा. बस add क्या करना है? हर molecule का square add करना है. हर molecule का speed का square add करना है. Does sigma vi square look familiar? Does sigma vi square, does summation of speeds of molecules look familiar? Didn't we do that while calculating VRMS? Isn't VRMS square sigma vi square by n? VRMS is root sigma vi square by n. So isn't VRMS square sigma vi square by n? याद आ गया? If you want me to flip back a few pages, let me know. VRMS square is sigma vi square by n. VRMS इसका root था, ये चीज का root था. VRMS का square is going to be without the root. Sigma vi square by n. Square का mean. Square का mean. तो यहाँ से आ जाएगा कि sigma vi square is total number of molecules into VRMS square. Total number of molecules into VRMS square. And यहाँ से ये result आ गया. This is pressure. This is pressure. What can I do with this? This is mass of a molecule and that is total number of molecules. इनको club कर लो. Mass of a molecule into total number of molecules will give me total mass. So I get this equation. P is 1 by 3 total mass by volume VRMS square. 1 by 3 total mass by volume VRMS square. This can be again written in a few more forms. वो भी दिखा देता हूँ अगले पेज पे. But this was the derivation. Any doubt in this? Have you seen an equation like this in chemistry? P is 1 by 3 density VRMS square. TOT is total. TOT is total. MTOT मतलब total mass. RMS is एक page 5 दिखा देता हूँ. In the meanwhile, कोई पूछ रहे RMS क्या है? RMS was root of mean of square. यहाँ पे देख लो एक बार. RMS was root of mean square, है ना? And हमने क्या किया? हमने VRMS का square लिया. So VRMS का square is only going to be मीन का स्क्वायर, वो रूट हट जाएगा, तो VRMS का स्क्वायर सिग्मा VI स्क्वायर बाई n. Good. So sigma VI square becomes n VRMS square. Okay. And one of you is asking, can I show all the slides of KTG? I'm not sure what you're asking. Are you asking where the slides are? Is that your question? Where are the slides? That derivation का एक basic idea थोड़ा important है. That's it. I mean, you're not going to be deriving that exactly in the exam, but it's good to know that derivation, it involves certain terms which, I mean, it involves certain concepts which you already know. Collision का फंडा है उसमें, है ना, VRMS का फंडा है, प्रेशर का डेफिनेशन है, एवरेज फोर्स का डेफिनेशन है. So that derivation is based on all concepts that you know. Okay, that's why we had to look at that. In the end, the result that we get is this. V को, yes, Yash, I'll just come to that. एक तो V को इधर लेके जाके तुम उसको इस फॉर्म में लिख सकते हैं. PV is 1/3 M total VRMS square. ठीक है. This same equation can be written as, अब M total को तुम कोई भी फॉर्म में लिख सकते हो. Total number of molecules into mass of a molecule, या total number of moles into molar mass. या तुम ये भी कर सकते हो कि तुम यहाँ पे V नीचे रख के M total by V को density लिख सकते हो. So this is another popular form of the equation. P is 1/3 density VRMS square. Now, what Yash is trying to say is, does this relate with the formula we have seen of VRMS? Yes, it does. If you look, not that one. If you look at this one, इस इक्वेशन में अगर मैं PV को nRT डाल दूंगा, what do I get with this? अगर PV को nRT डाल दिया, n कट जाएगा. Look carefully, 3 उस तरफ, m उस तरफ. I am hereby proving कि 3RT by m is VRMS. So this could work as a proof for VRMS. Root 3RT by m without any integration, without Maxwell का जो भी गंदा सा formula है ना? We proved कि VRMS is root 3RT by m. Understood? तो PV को यहाँ पे इधर PV के जगह nRT डाल दिया, n काट दिया, तो यहाँ से भी दिख रहा है कि VRMS is root 3RT by m. Any doubt on this page? Okay, these are just alternate forms of P is 1/3 rho VRMS square. Then you have this law of equipartition of energy. All right, so law of equipartition of energy. This I'm sure you've seen in chemistry, degrees of freedom and stuff. We'll go over this once. What does this law say? It says that any system in thermal equilibrium, for any system in thermal equilibrium, the total energy is equally distributed over its various degrees of freedom. All right, so I'm sure you've heard of degrees of freedom recently in thermodynamics, at least. So a molecule, based on how many atoms it has, it could be translating, it could be rotating about a fixed axis, right? So it could be translating, it could be rotating, it could be vibrating. So this law of equipartition of energy says that your energy is equally distributed across all those degrees of freedom. Okay. All right. So one of you is asking, what is the proper definition of degree of freedom? So degree of freedom is a way of quantifying the type of motion you can have, the types of different motions you can have. So like even when we talk about translation, you could be translating along 3 mutually perpendicular independent directions. When we talk about rotation, you could be rotating about 3 mutually perpendicular independent axes. All right, so along the x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, you could be rotating about 3 different axes. And then you have vibration as well. And then vibration, you'll be happy to know. Of course, vibration takes place only and is significant only at higher temperatures. But you'll be happy to know that that's actually not in your syllabus. You don't need to know the degrees of freedom associated with vibration at all. In fact, if you read your syllabus carefully, you'll realize that your syllabus specifically mentions only translation and rotation, and that too only for monoatomic and diatomic molecules. Okay? So, koi puch raha, is this for chem as well? I don't know. During my time, at least in chem, it was not there. I don't know if things have changed now, but what I do know is for physics is definitely not there. Physics has better questions to ask with limited knowledge, right? So I don't know about chemistry, but in physics, vibration is definitely not there. And physics, in fact, even says that polyatomic is not there. फिर भी हम देखेंगे polyatomic का, but they have very specifically said only for monatomic and diatomic. Either way, each degree of freedom, okay, thermal equilibrium means when temperature is fixed, temperature is not going to change. All objects, all parts are of the same temperature. So in a system, you would say thermal equilibrium is when temperature is uniform, when the entire volume has the same temperature. It's like when you pour hot water inside cold water, initially there may be a difference in temperatures, but once that entire process has mixed and the temperature across the entire volume has become uniform, then you will say that that system is in thermal equilibrium. It is similar to a steady state. Steady state, specifically conduction ka steady state nahi, but it is similar to a steady state. Steady state is that after which nothing changes. यहाँ पे uniform हो गया, nothing is going to change unless you further expand or supply heat, etc., etc. Okay. Each degree of freedom is associated with, now this is the most important thing, each degree of freedom is associated with half kT energy per molecule. ये तुम रट लो, ये रटोगे तो you can write the energy of anything. Understand, each degree of freedom per molecule कितना energy है? Half kT. K is Boltzmann constant, T is temperature. इतना energy है per molecule per degree of freedom. And अगर per mole की बात करोगे, एक mole में Avogadro number of molecules होता है. So if you multiply this with the Avogadro number, Boltzmann constant will become R. So that's the only difference. It's either half RT per mole or half KT per mole of energy, per molecule of energy, okay, for each degree of freedom. Boltzmann constant I'm representing by the symbol K. You may have represented by KB. एक ही बात है. Okay? I'm representing by the symbol K. So half KT per molecule per degree of freedom, या half RT per mole per degree of freedom. देखो अब इसके साथ हम क्या कर सकते हैं. All right. So how many degrees of freedom are there? Again, only translational and rotational are in your syllabus. Going over it quickly, monoatomic has 3 translational degrees of freedom and 0 rotational degrees of freedom. And I hope that makes sense. Why is rotational 0? Because it's like a point size object, right? It's a point size object. So as you're going to learn in rotation, its moment of inertia about any axis is going to be 0. So it's going to have negligible kinetic energy about any axis because it's as good as a point. है ना? तो rotation से इसका energy contribution लगभग negligible होगा. तो monoatomic का सिर्फ 3 degree of freedom है. Monoatomic का सिर्फ 3 degree of freedom है. Just reading a doubt, one of you is saying, sir, it's half kT per mole. No, okay, it's half kT per molecule. Please remember this, it's half kT per molecule. So the minute I talk about a mole will have how many molecules? A mole will have Na number of molecules. Therefore, for a mole, how much energy should be there per degree of freedom? It should be half kT into Na. And what is K times Na? What is Boltzmann constant time Na? It's R. So now do you see how it's fitting together? It's either half kT per mole या half RT per mole. क्या बोल रहा हूँ यार? It's either half kT per molecule और half RT per mole. Okay? वो याद करोगे ना तो बहुत इजी हो जाएगा लाइफ. अब देखो इसमें क्या है, ट्रांसलेशन का 3 डिग्री ऑफ फ्रीडम है. डायटोमिक जो होता है, डायटोमिक मॉलिक्यूल या लीनियर पॉलीएटॉमिक, what do they have in common? They are going to be along a straight line. So diatomic, like oxygen या nitrogen. Linear polyatomic का example would be ethine, C2H2. That's again four atoms, but they're all along a straight line, sp hybridized. So whenever it's along a straight line, that's going to be diatomic, and this has 5 degrees of freedom. ठीक है? 3 translational, 2 rotational. Which one is ignored? Rotation along the axis of the molecule itself is negligible. Rotation along the axis of the molecule itself, that is going to be negligible. So this is done in thermo, which is why I'm just going a little faster. And don't worry about vibrational degrees of freedom. For physics at least, you have nothing to do with that. Non-linear polyatomic, यहाँ पे क्या होता है? यहाँ पे all 6 are there, है ना? So non-linear का all 6 है. 3 तो translation का है ही, and there is no axis जिसके about ऐसा negligible moment of inertia होगा. तो all 3 perpendicular axis के about rotation significant होगा, and therefore non-linear polyatomic has 6 degrees of freedom. Yeah, that's what you need to know. So I think this is covered in chem. Same thing minus the vibration column. वही इधर repeat हो गया. Ignore vibration. In fact, your physics syllabus is specifically mentioning this. So even this is not there, but there was no harm in mentioning this, so I just mentioned it. But yeah, they have enough good questions to ask, sticking to this limited piece of information. यहाँ पे we are not going to burden you with vibration and all of that. Okay. All right. With this, now how do I put everything together? So kinetic energy कितना होगा एक gas का? How did I calculate which one? Guys, if you have any doubt in this, please ask. Diatomic का. तो डायटोमिक का ये एक चीज अच्छे से समझो. देखो डायटोमिक क्या होता है ना, लीनियर होता है. तो बिकॉज वो लीनियर होता है, दिस इज capable of having significant translational kinetic energy. It is also capable of rotating, but if I consider this axis, तो इस axis के about rotation is going to be significant. I consider this axis, इस axis के about भी rotation is significant. Now I don't know where you have reached in rotational mechanics, but you'll see कि kinetic energy about an axis of rotation is, fixed axis is half I omega square. ये हुआ है physics में? I wonder. I don't think so. Okay, maybe you guys are still doing torque. Either way, so for you to have sufficient energy of rotation, you can't be located on the axis itself. You need to have your mass spread away from the axis. तब तुम्हारा energy of rotation significant होता है. If your entire mass is located on the axis itself and you're rotating it, क्या हो जाएगा? Actually, all the particles are so close to the axis, तो R लगभग छोटा है ना, R लगभग 0 है, तो R ओमेगा कितना होगा? लगभग 0. मतलब हर पार्टिकल का वेलोसिटी कितना होगा? If you're considering rotation about the axis passing through the line itself, है ना, because the distance is almost 0, because radii of each molecule is almost 0, velocity of each molecule is going to almost be, each particle is almost going to be 0. Therefore इसका kinetic energy 0 आएगा. Alright, so therefore along the length, ये length के along जो भी energy होगा ना, that length के along energy, मतलब ये length के along अगर axis लोगे और ऐसा घुमाओगे, that is going to not contribute to total energy. Therefore we say for any linear chain like मॉलिक्यूल डायटोमिक हो या लीनियर पॉलीएटॉमिक हो, उनका डिग्री ऑफ फ्रीडम एक कम होगा, रोटेशन अलोंग द लाइन ऑफ द मॉलिक्यूल जीरो होगा, का कंट्रीब्यूशन नेग्लिजिबल. Okay, sorted. Okay, with that, kinetic energy is half RT per mole per F या half KT per molecule per F. देखो अब इससे क्या हो जाएगा, what is total kinetic energy? तो we know कि it's RT by 2 per mole per F, मतलब multiply total number of moles with total degrees of freedom with RT by 2. So RT by 2 into total degrees of freedom into total number of moles will give total kinetic energy. Simple. NFRT by 2. NFRT by 2. This is total kinetic energy. NFRT by 2. What you now know in thermodynamics as NCVT, right? FR by 2 CV. But we'll talk about that later. फिलहाल क्या है? NFRT by 2. इसको ऐसा भी देख लो, half KT into total number of molecules into total number of degrees of freedom, उससे भी आएगा. तो half KT into total number of degrees of freedom into total number of molecules, उससे भी result आ रहा है. That is also total kinetic energy. Small n into R is capital N into K. Okay? So total kinetic energy can be written like that. और कैसा लिख सकते हैं? nRT को PV लिख सकते हैं. nRT को PV लिख सकते हैं. It can also be written as F by 2 PV. Now you don't need to memorize all of these forms. You remember one. You should know enough equations to convert from one to the other. PV अभी हमने देखा याद है, PV is 1 by 3 M total VRMS square. तो वो substitute करो, PV was 1 by 3 M total VRMS square. तो by 3 के साथ ये 6 हो जाएगा. And therefore your total kinetic energy becomes F by 6 M total VRMS square. तुम्हारा total kinetic energy is your total mass into VRMS square into F by 6. Understood all four forms? You need not remember all four, but I think you should be able to convert from one form to the other based on whatever was asked. This is total. This includes translation and rotation. Now, if I am talking about translational, मुझे अगर सिर्फ translational kinetic energy चाहिए, मतलब घूमने वाला पार्ट नहीं, इधर उधर हिलने वाला पार्ट का काइनेटिक एनर्जी चाहिए, तो फिर ट्रांसलेशनल डिग्रीज ऑफ फ्रीडम कितना होता है? 3 ही होता है. कितना भी नंबर ऑफ एटम्स होने दो, ट्रांसलेशनल डिग्रीज ऑफ फ्रीडम विल बी ओनली 3, है ना? सो इफ आई वांट ट्रांसलेशनल काइनेटिक एनर्जी, I just need to put F as 3 in all of the above formulas. Look at what I get. F की जगह 3 डाल दो तो N3RT by 2 या capital N3KT by 2 या 3 by 2 PV. And this last one is quite interesting. Last वाले में F की जगह अगर 3 डाल दिया तो 3 by 6. 3 by 6 कितना होता है? 1 by 2 M total VRMS square. मतलब half M total VRMS square. Doesn't that make sense? कि average kinetic energy should be half total mass average of V square. Average of V square is VRMS square. So the total translational kinetic energy should be half M total VRMS square. Makes sense. This is true for everyone. ये ट्रांसलेशनल का बात कर रहा हूं. तुम्हारा देखो, तुम्हारा मॉलिक्यूल मोनो एटॉमिक होने दो, डायटोमिक होने दो, कितने भी नंबर ऑफ एटम्स होने दो उस मॉलिक्यूल में, there will be a term called as translational kinetic energy, which is only talking about the energy corresponding to the translation of the molecule. So even if you're diatomic, even if you're monoatomic, you have only 3 translational degrees of freedom. Irrespective of the number of atoms, you have only 3 translational degrees of freedom. So because you have only 3 translational degrees of freedom, what should your kinetic energy be only for translation? it should be RT by 2 into number of degrees of freedom, which is only 3, है ना, ट्रांसलेशनल वाले सिर्फ 3 है, into total number of moles. Now did you understand? है? तो अब F के जगह बस 3 आ रहा है. Okay, VRMS you will use. So VRMS is a better average when you're working with velocity का square, because VRMS का square is V square का average, है ना. So when you're working with kinetic energy में तुम्हें, है ना, kinetic energy का average value लिखना है हर molecule के लिए. तो then does it not make sense कि अगर मुझे half m total V square का average लिखना है, तो therefore if I want average value of V square, I'll have to take VRMS square, because VRMS had done exactly that. उसने V square का average लिया था. VRMS square is summation VI square by n. It is the average of speed square of each molecule. That's why you will see VRMS appear in kinetic energy का formula. Okay. Yes, I don't mind explaining this again and again. ठीक है, एक last एक बार इसको एक बार समझा देता हूँ. ठीक है. So actually the process is the same for all. Let me try explaining rotational ones and let's see if you get it. How many rotational degrees of freedom are there for any molecule? If the total number of degrees of freedom is there, how many rotational degrees of freedom are there? Shouldn't it be total minus 3? जैसे मोनोएटॉमिक के लिए टोटल 3 था, ट्रांसलेशन 3 था, तो रोटेशनल इज टोटल minus 3, 0, 3 minus 3. डायटॉमिक के लिए टोटल 5 था, ट्रांसलेशन 3 था, तो रोटेशन के लिए 5 minus 3, 2, है ना. नॉन लीनियर मॉलिक्यूल्स के लिए टोटल 6 था, ट्रांसलेशनल 3 था, तो रोटेशनल 6 minus 3, है ना. तो टोटल से 3 हटा दो, बिकॉज 3 तो ट्रांसलेशन के लिए हमेशा है. तो कोई भी जनरल मॉलिक्यूल के लिए रोटेशनल डिग्रीज ऑफ फ्रीडम कितने हैं? F minus 3. Is everyone convinced with that? टोटल से 3 हटा दो, बिकॉज 3 ट्रांसलेशनल के हैं, है ना. तो टोटल से 3 हटा दो. अब ट्रांसलेशन के 3 तो हमेशा रहेंगे, पॉइंट साइज होने दो, लीनियर होने दो, नॉन लीनियर होने दो, ट्रांसलेशन के 3 हमेशा रहेंगे. रोटेशन के कितने होंगे? टोटल -3 बचा हुआ, है ना. तो अब रोटेशनल डिग्रीज ऑफ फ्रीडम अगर तुम्हें देखना है, उसके करस्पॉन्डिंग कितना काइनेटिक एनर्जी आता है, तो क्या करेंगे? देखो, सिंपल आइडिया, RT by 2 पर मोल पर डिग्री ऑफ फ्रीडम. तो RT by 2 उठाया, पर मोल RT by 2 था, तो टोटल कितना हो जाएगा? इनटू टोटल नंबर ऑफ मोल्स. पर डिग्री ऑफ फ्रीडम इतना था, तो फिर टोटल के लिए इनटू टोटल नंबर ऑफ डिग्रीज ऑफ फ्रीडम मल्टीप्लाई कर लो. तो रोटेशनल के लिए कितने डिग्रीज ऑफ फ्रीडम है? F minus 3. That's why kinetic energy for rotation is N F minus 3 RT by 2. Got it? You can work the same way for from a molecule perspective. तो एक molecule का कितना kinetic energy है? KT by 2 per degree of freedom. अब उसका रोटेशन के कितने डिग्रीज ऑफ फ्रीडम है? F minus 3 है, टोटल -3 है. तो F minus 3 KT by 2 will give you then the kinetic energy, rotational kinetic energy of a molecule. And if I want the total rotational kinetic energy, I need to multiply it with the total number of molecules. Getting it? All right, so that's how we are writing these terms. That was the main idea. You can, of course, then you can substitute nRT as PV in any of these equations, and you can substitute PV as 1 by 3 m total VRMS square in any of these equations. So accordingly, you'll get it in different forms. But that was the main idea. I'll go over the total kinetic energy one last time. RT by 2 per mole per degree of freedom, multiplied with total number of degrees of freedom, multiplied with total number of moles. Khatam. That is your total kinetic energy. That's it. ट्रांसलेशनल के लिए बस चेंज करो डिग्रीज ऑफ फ्रीडम. अब डिग्रीज ऑफ फ्रीडम कितने हैं ट्रांसलेशन का? हमेशा 3. F के जगह 3 डाल दो. रोटेशन के लिए कितने हैं? हमेशा टोटल -3 बचा हुआ, 3 के अलावा कितना है बचा हुआ? ऑफ कोर्स टोटल काइनेटिक एनर्जी इज दिस प्लस दिस, वो दिख रहा है 3 एंड f-3 जोड़ोगे तो f मिलेगा, वो तो ऑफ कोर्स है। टोटल एनर्जी इज ऑफ 2 टाइप्स, one from translation and one from rotation. Okay, टोटल का कैसे आया वही बताया मैंने, टोटल इज RT/2 per mole per F. So if I have, let's take an example, come on, let's take an example. And now, so what will be the total kinetic energy for helium? So helium is monoatomic. Helium has 3 degrees of freedom. All right, because it has 3 degrees of freedom, what is the kinetic energy, total kinetic energy of helium? So we know कि per mole of helium, per degree of freedom, मैं बोला, if you remember that statement, you can do everything. Per mole, per degree of freedom, helium के पास इतना एनर्जी है, per degree of freedom. हर डिग्री ऑफ फ्रीडम के लिए इतना एनर्जी है, तो बिकॉज 3 डिग्री ऑफ फ्रीडम है, तो इंटू 3 करके यू गेट 3 RT/2 for 1 mole of helium. So per mole you have 3 RT/2, and now total helium के लिए you have to multiply this with the number of moles, so n 3 RT/2. Does that now make sense? RT/2 is per mole per degree of freedom. RT/2 को नंबर ऑफ मोल से मल्टीप्लाई कर लो और नंबर ऑफ डिग्रीज ऑफ फ्रीडम से मल्टीप्लाई कर लो, एंड ऑफ स्टोरी. गॉट इट? हीलियम का ट्रांसलेशनल 3 डिग्री ऑफ फ्रीडम है तो सेम आंसर आएगा. हीलियम का रोटेशनल 0 डिग्रीज ऑफ फ्रीडम है तो उसका आंसर 0 आएगा. गॉट इट? Alright, this is just for you to remember the formula. I mean, don't blindly just memorize NF/RT/2, N3/RT/2, NF-3/RT/2. ये कुछ लंबा कुछ derivation नहीं है. This is just the logic behind why, what total kinetic energy is, what translational kinetic energy is, what rotational kinetic energy is. The difference is just what you substitute F as. Total में you'll substitute all degrees of freedom. Translation में you substitute 3. Rotational में you substitute balance. तो monoatomic में rotational 0 है, diatomic में 2 है. You know it already. जितने rotational degrees of freedom है वो इधर substitute करो. Okay, simple. Anyone else stuck in this? No one? That's just a way for you to remember. Yeah? At the end, those are formulas, but that's just a way for you to remember. Internal energy U, which we're going to talk about more in thermodynamics, but U is a measure of your total kinetic energy. So when we talk about change in U, we're going to talk about change in kinetic energy. And why are we going to do that? Because potential energy is 0. Simple. All right. Why is potential energy considered negligible? Because we are assuming under KTG that molecules exert no force on each other. So if they exert no force on each other, work done by internal conservative forces is 0 because there are no internal conservative forces. Right? So the work they do is 0. Therefore, delta U is 0 for potential energy. तो जितना भी change in potential energy आ रहा है उतना ही change in kinetic energy आ रहा है. You can use this formula. You can use U as your total kinetic energy, which is NF/2 RT. NF/2 RT. Okay. I think you have done this in chem. FR/2 is what you call as CV. Right? So NCVT can be taken as U. All right. Mean free path का एक formula है. Just remember the formula. You don't really need the derivation for this. ठीक है? अच्छा, why PE is 0? हाँ guys, any doubts please ask. PE is 0. ध्यान से सुनो. Because under KTG, we are assuming intermolecular forces are negligible, right? So because we are assuming that's negligible for this gas, for this ideal gas, then work done by those forces has to be zero. Because the forces are negligible, work done by them is zero. Because work done by them is zero, delta U का definition क्या होता है? Negative of work done by an internal conservative force. So delta U is zero. Change in potential energy is zero. Understood? Okay? So therefore, our total internal energy can simply be written as our kinetic energy. Okay, mean free path का formula का derivation is, I mean, derivation is not relevant. You don't really need it, but just remember the formula as such is not a very important. It's not a very important thing. Just formula याद कर लो. Formula based सवाल अगर आया mains में तो कर लो. ठीक है? So formula क्या है वो बस बता रहा हूँ. I think this also I think I saw in your chemistry notes. The formula is 1 by root 2 number of moles. Sorry, यहाँ पे this is molecular density. मतलब it is actually number of molecules per unit volume pi d square. You may see some books write this as small n, but just to clarify, it's not number of moles. What small n there represented was number of molecules per unit volume. Isliye I've written that in terms of the symbols we have been using. Mean free path 1 by root 2 number of molecules per unit volume into pi d square. Okay? Volume by area will give the dimension of length. So this is the mean free path. What does mean free path mean? It means mean matlab average, and this is on an average how much distance a molecule gets to cover before hitting another molecule. How much distance it gets to cover before hitting another molecule, uska average value hai. All right. Average time between collisions. So average time between collisions के लिए तुम क्या कर सकते हो? कितना distance मिल रहा है उसको cover करने के लिए? Upon the average velocity. Right? So that's how you get average time between collisions. The amount of distance it has, the amount of distance that it can cover into average velocity. Upon average velocity. Time is distance by speed. So time between successive collisions is mean free path upon average velocity. Okay, and d is diameter. See, I'm just going through this quickly because I think I saw this in your chem as well. D is diameter. N is number of molecules. V is volume. Lambda is your mean free path. Average time between collisions is mean free path on your average velocity. देखा था ना, ये भी था ना हमारे के अंदर mean free path का formula. Yeah, as you can see, a lot of repeated stuff. All right. What is that symbol for time? Time is actually this is gamma. This is capital gamma. So this is small gamma and this is capital gamma. Greek alphabet, capital gamma. It's supposed to look like that. Okay. All right. Again, मतलब ऐसा ये इसमें ज़्यादा कुछ ये mains में ही आ सकता है because it's just a formula based question. So yeah, mains could ask a question like this to just remember the formula. All right, going over your processes now. Okay. So going over your processes, isobaric process. How does that look in different graphs? So isobaric means, of course, pressure is constant. The way it's going to look in different graphs is like, consider this graph. You should be able to convert from one graph to another. Maybe we can do a few questions on that. The idea is in this graph, if you can see, pressure is constant in the PT graph and temperature is increasing. Now before you draw the same thing in the PV graph, you need to think कि अगर temperature बढ़ता है और pressure constant है तो क्या volume के साथ क्या होगा. तो we know कि अच्छा temperature बढ़ेगा तो volume भी बढ़ेगा, तो इसलिए ये ग्राफ भी ऐसा ही दिखेगा. ठीक है, it will move towards the right because as temperature increases, volume increases. What about the VT graph? So the VT graph, if P is constant, V is proportional to temperature. And again, I don't remember which law it is. That's why you need to make an extra effort to remember the name. Charles, yeah, Boyle, yeah, I think Gale, Lussac, whatever. Volume is proportional to temperature if pressure is constant. So you're going to see a straight line graph. ऐसा एक straight line graph दिखेगा. Okay, so all isobars in a VT graph will appear as straight lines. Okay, T is in Kelvin, V is of course again SI unit. So you'll get to see a straight line graph. Now, one important thing, of course, volume was increasing, so the graph is going from inside to outside. But now, when you look at these graphs, which graph corresponds to higher pressure? Think carefully. Which of these graphs corresponds to higher pressure? Of course, if you've copied the notes and you've already made the notes, you probably know the answer, but how would you work around this? So basically, we need to compare the slopes. साफ साफ दिख रहा है कि P1 ग्राफ का स्लोप कम है. How does slope relate pressure? Question is, which is bigger? Is P1 bigger or is P2 bigger? That was the question. VT ग्राफ का स्लोप एनालाइज कर लो. Okay, think. Good. Some of you are answering correct. Yes, that's right. Everyone's answering correctly. P1 doesn't have the bigger slope. P2 has a bigger slope. Slope is P2 is steeper. You need to basically figure out how things depend on the slope. So ideal gas equation को readjust कर लो, दिखेगा कि ये है तुम्हारा slope. जितना बड़ा slope उतना छोटा pressure. जितना बड़ा slope उतना छोटा pressure. All right. So therefore P1 is greater than P2. Yes, you can very easily analyze these questions in a haste. गलत आंसर मत दे दो. Just analyze them carefully and you can answer them. All right, so this is how you can convert an isobaric graph from one graph to another. I'm going to quickly go over the other graph. Any doubt in this? So I can give you some questions for homework. Isobaric के बाद क्या है? Isochoric. What does that mean? Isochoric means volume is constant. All right, and I hope you didn't see that. Volume is constant. So इसका graph कैसे देगा? So firstly, sir, how did I compare slope? How did I compare slope? So you've learned straight lines in maths, right? You know कि अरे ये तो gradual slope है, ये ज़्यादा बड़ा slope है. तो P2 का slope P1 से बड़ा है. और दूसरी बात ये कि slope in a VT graph, y is mx. Y is mx. What is m over here? Now just take P to the other side of your ideal gas equation. So y is mx. This is m. All right, nr by p is m in this graph. So जितना बड़ा pressure उतना छोटा slope. Slope किसका छोटा है? Which is more gradual? P1 is more gradual. So the lower one is at a higher pressure. Does that answer your question? Okay. Do the same thing with this one. All right. So again, in a isochore, firstly P versus V graph. So P versus V graph where V is constant. I'm assuming कि pressure is increasing. All right. So when I draw the same VT graph, I need to think. अब pressure बढ़ रहा है. Pressure बढ़ रहा है तो temperature के साथ क्या होगा? So if pressure is increasing, temperature will also increase. right? Temperature increases, your graph, oops, should look like this. Again, constant volume. So V जिस भी जो भी साइड में लाई करता है V वाला कोऑर्डिनेट फिक्स होना चाहिए. And if I draw the same graph, if I draw an isochore in a PT graph, then again same logic. When V is constant, P is going to be directly proportional to temperature. All right. Again, I don't know the law for this. This is Gay-Lussac's law, I think. So P is going to directly be proportional to temperature. So if P is directly proportional to temperature, your isochores will look like straight lines starting from the origin. That's how these graphs will look. Y equal to kx wala equation दिखेगा. And when you compare these graphs V1 and V2, which of these graphs has a larger volume? Is it going to be the other way around this time? It's going to be the, again, PT graph. P is Y, T is X. So P is nRT by V. The same logic, P is nRT by V. Your slope becomes nR by V is what I should have written. Right? So greater the slope, greater the lesser the volume. So V1 is greater than V2 because V1 ka slope is lesser than V2 ka slope. Huh? Simple, same, almost same logic. P and V like that are interchangeable in that equation. Okay. So that was an isochore. We're not done, guys. Isothermal graph. So an isothermal process is one where temperature is constant. Okay, one where temperature is constant. So uska graph kaise dikhega? So in a PT graph, this is where you need to watch out. PT graph, T is constant, so it will go upwards like this. I mean, it will be along a vertical line. But assume यहाँ पे ये upward जा रहा है, तो same graph VT के लिए बनाते वक्त तुम्हें थोड़ा ध्यान देना है. Does this graph go upwards or does it go downwards? Then you need to think if temperature is constant and my pressure increases, my volume actually decreases. I think Boyle's law, right? So if pressure increases, volume decreases. If volume decreases, this graph is going to go down. Temperature is going to stay fixed, so the graph will move vertically. But in the PT graph, if it goes up, in the VT graph, it will go down. Okay? Not very difficult, but just watch out for that. And your PV graph. So if temperature is constant, PV is going to be constant. And you learn in maths that when XY is constant, the graph or the curve is something called as a rectangular hyperbola. ठीक है? इसका अच्छा कोई बोल रहा है we take log का भी ग्राफ बन सकता है. Log का भी ग्राफ बन सकता है. I think what this guy is telling us is कि अगर PV constant है, बंदा बोल रहा है कि अगर PV constant है तो log of PV यानी कि log P plus log V is also going to be a constant. तो log P versus log V का ग्राफ स्ट्रेट लाइन होगा. Fair enough. log P versus log V का ग्राफ एक स्ट्रेट लाइन होगा. ऐसा ग्राफ दिखेगा. वो भी कर सकते हैं, या तुम मतलब वो ग्राफ भी दे सकते हैं तुम्हें, या PV इक्वल टू कौन, अगर PV ग्राफ स्ट्रिक्टली बनाना है, then the curve is going to be what we call as a rectangular hyperbola, because PV is constant, XY is constant, is the curve or is the equation for a rectangular hyperbola. You'll learn that when you of course study coordinate geometry, but उसका shape ऐसा कुछ होगा. यहाँ पे asymptotically reaching infinity and V axis के along the asymptotically reaching infinity. So that's how your isotherm looks. It has this curved sort of shape, y equal to 1 upon x के ग्राफ की तरह, and as I increase temperature, the isotherm shifts up. As I increase temperature, the isotherm shifts up. That's very easy to see. Volume fix रखो, कहाँ पे pressure ज़्यादा है, T2 पे pressure ज़्यादा है. तो for the same volume जहाँ पे ज़्यादा pressure है, वहाँ पे ज़्यादा temperature भी होगा. right? So T2 is logically going to be greater than T1. That's the graph of your, that's your isothermal. Okay. And okay, so 16 onwards, I have some homework questions for you to try. So I'll be uploading these pages as well. Again, for the last time, if you want to refer to my notes, the way it is uploaded on the drive, I'll show you where it's uploaded. You can refer to them as it is. You don't necessarily have to make your own notes. Okay. But if you want to, you can copy from the drive. With that said, please attempt these questions before the next class. So on page 16, I have a question. Okay. And attempt that before without looking at the solution. Solutions on page 17. Page 18, I have another question. All right. Page 21, I'll of course discuss this in the next class. The 16, 18, 21, you can just note down the question, page numbers. 16, 18, 21, 25. I'll go over this in the next class. I've given some instructions that you can follow, some suggestions. 16, 18, 21, 26. '28. You just type that out. 16, 18, 21, 26, 28. We are actually done with KTG ka theory. There's no more theory. There's just one more page of general instructions I want to give. That will help you maybe solve these piston-based questions. But do attempt this and come. And we'll of course discuss them, and with that we'll actually be done. As I promised कि तुम्हारा जो KTG वाला portion है physics के लिए, that's actually a lot lesser than what you have in chemistry. Right? So you don't have real gas equation and compressibility and all that stuff. It's quite interesting, quite good. Just the pure logical part, and thermodynamics also is going to be very much similar. All right, so that's it. Let me just show you where it is in the drive. One of you was asking that. Okay, so this is the lecture notes folder. Just open heat and thermodynamics. Remember the name of the chapter. Okay, open that. That's it. Okay. 16 onwards, I'll be uploading. तो जो मैंने जो अभी तुम्हें एक मैसेज भेजा है, numbers जो भेजा है, somebody got disconnected. By the way, those who are done, you want to leave, you can leave. The numbers I just sent are page numbers. So if you can see on the drive right now, I uploaded till 15. I'll be uploading 16 onwards. So 16 onwards, at those page numbers, you have questions. That's what the message is about. और उसके बीच में solutions है. So if you want to skip the solution and you just want to see the question, then it's 16, 18, 21, 26. And if you want to cross check the solution, it'll be the questions in between. Okay? I may add more questions as well. So I'll send a complete list of page numbers after class on the doubt group. By the way, I hope everyone in this meeting is in the doubt group. Okay. Bye. Yeah, bye.